се наоѓаме во Крушево на третата поред светска конференција за меѓурелигиски диалог и соработка, на која што една од главните теми е како да се надминат глобалните предизвици и како религијата и врските помеѓу религиските заедници можат да придонесат кон тоа. Што мислите вие, каква е моменталната состојба во светот со меѓурелигискиот диалог помеѓу народите и дали религијата и како истата може да помогне во надминување на глобалните предизвици кои што ги имаме, како што се, например, од една страна на европскиот континент војната во Украина помеѓу Русија, а од друга страна пред неколку денови се отвори сосема нов фронт, а тоа е фронтот во Иран.
It's of course a very timely conference because we are now facing immediate problems in the Middle East and already for a few years in Ukraine. And we speak about war, we speak about globalization, and if we take into that debate religion, we have to ask ourselves the question, what has been the role of religion in the past in such military conflicts? Has that been a positive role or not? And if there are problems, how can we in the future make sure that religions will find ways and means to work together to prevent such conflicts to arise? Religions are there to create the world, not to destruct the world. That is what all religions have in common. But what do we see in reality? We see that religions are polarized. They are polarizing themselves against other religions. Religions are used by those in power to justify their war, or in other cases to encourage wars. And that role, of course, is extremely bad because we can talk about weapons, we can talk about so many other things. We can talk about a NATO conference, which is going to NATO top, which is going to start tomorrow in The Hague, in my country, where we speak about defense, but we don't speak about how to solve our problems together. That's where globalization comes in, because it is a global problem. We are no longer in the dark ages where in small continents or in other groups people try to solve their own problems, but now this is a global world which is hanging together, everything relates to each other, and then we need a moral power to make sure that we are going to create the world and not to destruct the world. And that is where religions can play a tremendous role. Until now, if you look at the world history, wars have always led to new wars. Peace was always a moment between two wars. And in case the war was over, and that is what happened in fact over the past, say, 5-6 decades in Europe, there were no wars. And now suddenly we have the war in Ukraine. After that we had the war in Israel against Gaza, and now it is spreading to the Middle East. The people are now preparing, and that is what the NATO top is about, to arm themselves against the enemy. The enemy is the other. But in religion, the other is not the enemy. You have
the other is your brother.
Is your brother. You have to love your brother. So the transitional peace between two wars, and every time you have, because to justify, you will hear the speeches in The Hague in the coming days. You know, the others are bad, the others are wrong, the others are this, the others are that. So you create conflict, you create, you polarize the relations between people, between cultures, and also between religions. So what we really need, if we talk now about a globalized world where everything hangs together, is lasting peace. A peace that keeps going, that will be there forever.
How can the religious communities can help that peace last forever?
First of all, well, the conference, the title of the conference is Dialogue and Cooperation. That's the answer. First they have to get into dialogue, not to be polarized and to say that we are right and you are wrong, or we are the real religion and you are the wrong ones, or whatever. We are the best religion. If you believe in us, you will go to heaven. If you believe in that, you won't. That is the first thing. We have to dialogue. We have to find, to seek the common foundation that religions have. Because if you look in the past, the religions as they emerged, they had many things in common. But now, with dogmatism and so on, you see that there is polarization between religions. The others are bad. I give you one example. Netanyahu, last year, he addressed the United States Congress in a full ornamental way, and he said it's no longer a conflict between different cultures. It is a conflict between one culture and barbarism. Now, okay, if Netanyahu is accused of war criminality, I don't care what Netanyahu says. What makes me afraid is that during that session of the Congress in the United States, he got a standing ovation. It means it is deep inside the politicians to believe that our culture, the European, the Western culture, is superior to other cultures. And that is what other cultures always have against us. Myself, I've been working
That's some kind of fascism.
Yes, well, it can be from both sides. I mean, I'm not saying that Islam could not be also polarizing, but if we start saying that here is the guilty or here's the guilty or here's the guilty, we never found a solution. We have to say, okay, forget about it. Now we have to sit down and say, we now want peace. And that will be a moral element that is much more important than weapons. And religions which are tended to become a bit marginalized in secularization in Europe, and now are finding a revival. People start to realize that there are moral standards that we should honor and that we should live with. Otherwise, this individualism and commercialization will pull us apart as individuals. So it is a chance for religions now to say, okay, we are going to take the lead in fighting for a worldwide peace, and not just for peace within one part of the world and not in the other part of the world. That is, in my speech the day after tomorrow, I will talk about that.
What will be the main message that will you send from this conference here in Kruševo?
The main thing would be, don't leave the decisions on peace or war to the politicians. Bring that debate down to the organizations of people who are not political. Civil society, all sorts of action groups, all sorts of other groups in society, but in particular religions, could play a role. I think what I would see is, as a solution, but it's a very long-term solution, it cannot happen from today to tomorrow, but a global coalition outside politics to say, and now It's over. We are no longer, why you talked about Ukraine, hundreds of thousands of people have died there. Russians and Ukrainians. What for? In the end, what for? And so I think my message would be that the civil society should take the lead, because politicians, like the United Nations, is already existing. If you take it from 1919, the League of Nations, and then the United Nations after the Second World War, it's more than 100 years that we have an international organization for peace. No peace. Where are they? So,
are there any necessary changes in the United Nations?
Oh, definitely, because it's an unequal game. The big powers dictate. If everybody agrees, they agree also, and they say, "Look what we have done." The big nations, and if there are problems, they say, "No, we don't." And there are nations like Israel, which constantly do not care about what the United Nations decide, and they get still support from big nations, from very big nations. That is one problem. And the second problem is the veto right. Because every time with the veto right, one of the parties is against, and then nothing happens. So I think equality, political equality is obviously very important, but it doesn't exist today. What counts today is how much money people put into the international organization. If the Palestinian refugee organization does not act to the idea of Israel or the United States, they withdraw the money. They say, okay, you don't get money for it, and they destroy the organization. These are the kind of problems, the power of especially the Western countries, and fed by the superiority feeling that we are the best culture, we are the best. That was in the colonial time also the whole idea. But I think we need really to think about a new future, about a different kind of society. And of course, it's not only religion. Of course, it is also the way the economy is going. It is the way geopolitics are developing. For instance, it's no longer borders that count. In Ukraine, it is very much still a question about the borders, the borders as they were when Ukraine was founded as a state as it is today. But we have seen from the negotiations with Trump that what really counts is the raw materials that are in the ground and which they need. That is why Trump started negotiating about the mines and the raw materials needed for telephones, for electric cars and so on. You see, so you see a shift now from national borders to greediness, markets, trying to have economic superiority or to keep economic superiority. That is particularly so for the West. That is, of course, another element. But even there, the moral debate can be engaged by religions.
And for the end of this interview, are you really believe that the religious communities can solve the war in Ukraine, Palestine, or Iran?
I think that what we have been saying until now is really in general in the long term. I don't think that tomorrow we can put together the religious leaders and who would come together with a declaration, stop it. I don't believe it is realistic, but we have to learn the lesson. We have to learn the lesson because this has happened in the past every time. So now we have to say stop it, because wars, let us say 200 years ago, that would happen in a terrain when one army was fighting against another army. It didn't destroy as much as now. Now we have nuclear bombs. if we continue as we are going now, we may have a certain day an ominous bang where atomic nuclear war starts, and that may destroy us all.
Thanks for your time and for this interview.
Thank you.